Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome yet again to this episode of Dinner Guide. Particularly on this month, we're going to be focusing on some desserts, and we're basically focusing this around some very, very beautiful berry, chocolate, vanilla, different kinds of options you can impress your loved ones or even your children at home. And for that, I have something interesting for you all today. We're going to be working on a very, very simple banana, chocolate, and raspberry muffin. So I'm going to start off by introducing our ingredients. So I'm going to be working with some beautiful chocolate vermicelli there. I'm also going to be using some dark chocolate. I'm also going to use a bit of vanilla, a bit of bicarbonate, a bit of olive oil, a bit of some oats there, a bit of some egg whites, some fresh milk there. I'm also going to be using some all-purpose flour, some fresh raspberries, some sugar there. And last but not least, I have some of these beautiful muffin cups which we'll be using today to make our muffins in. And something also very important for this particular process, a piping bag which you're going to be using to pipe your mixture into these very, very beautiful cups. So we're going to take a short break, and when we do come back, I'm going to dig into this very, very simple dish, and I'm just going to be able to show you all how to turn these very, very simple ingredients into a muffin you and your children will love. So please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who just missed out on the introduction, we are going to be making some very, very simple and healthy muffins today. So we are going to start off by firstly just getting ourselves affirmed with the ingredients and the items I have on the table. So as I mentioned, I'll introduce some of this as we continue. But very, very crucial, I have some tools here that I'd love to introduce as we go. So I've got a very, very simple masher here. This can work in very, very many ways. I'm actually particularly going to use this for my bananas. I'm also going to be using 2 sets of whisks, particularly one plastic, one metallic. Remember, they both serve 2 different causes, and I'm going to explain that to you later. And something else to mention, something you may not have in your household, but something that always comes in handy, a piping bag. Remember, if you're going to be making muffins, very crucial that you actually pipe your mixture and not spoon it, because it will actually incorporate some air bubbles which actually are going to affect the outcome of your product. So this is very handy. And this particularly is a disposable one, but you can actually find ones that can be reused. You can actually find canvas ones out there in your retail stores. So this is also very, very handy when you're making your muffins. And now we're just going to start off by just separating our ingredients first of all. And for that, I'm going to quickly grab a sieve. And now we're going to first of all start off by sifting our dry ingredients together. So for that, I'm going to be using a sift, and I'm going to be sifting in about 300 grams of flour, and also 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. So all you want to do is just sift that through. This is always to make sure you don't have any foreign bodies in your flour. And as you can see, there's always a few, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Be sure to discard those. Right, so we basically now have our dry ingredients set ready to go. Now we're just going to go into the second process, which is incorporating the wet ingredients. And for that, I have some bananas here, which I'm going to start off by mashing together in this big bowl here. So start off by just peeling your bananas. Simple as that. And all you need now is just to start mashing through with your potato masher. And as I mentioned, if you don't have one of this, you can actually use a wooden spoon. It will do just the same. Right, so be sure to get a nice mushy consistency before you proceed. And now this is ready. Discard that. Now to that we're going to be incorporating also 2 egg whites. So what I basically did was separated some eggs. I will also be incorporating some of the milk, so I'm only going to add about 3/4 of that. And last but not least, first of all, I will insist, reserve a bit of sugar before you actually add the rest, which I'll show you what that is for later. So I'm just going to reserve about 2 teaspoons on the side, which I'll explain to you in a few. And I'm just going to add the rest of the sugar in here. And all you're left to do now is just start mixing that together. So I'm just going to use my plastic whisk. Right, so be sure to incorporate that really nicely. Simple as that. And now, last but not least, this is basically one particular very, very simple technique, and it's basically going to help us a little later. So I'm going to start off by just leaving out just a bit of the dry oats, and to that I will incorporate the bit of sugar that we had left over earlier. And basically this I'm going to be able to show you also in just a few seconds. We're basically just going to use this to top our muffins. And now next step is basically just to incorporate all your ingredients together. So I always start by making a well right in the middle of my bowl. Remember, making a well particularly helps you to start off by incorporating the ingredients from the center outwards. This particularly aids very much in keeping a consistency. It also aids in making it a little more easier for you to incorporate your ingredients and also avoiding you from getting lumps. So we're going to add to that, I'm going to also add a bit of vanilla to that banana and egg mixture, and a bit of olive oil. And last off, I also have some vermicelli here, so I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons in there. I'm also going to add some roughly chopped dark chocolate chips. And next up, just give your liquid a mix as well. And then incorporate that to the other bowl. Be sure to always also take some time to whisk out all the mixture that's in there. Remember, you don't also want to waste or give your recipe any hiccups by missing out on some of those ingredients in the bowl. So simple as that. Just going to start by mixing those together. And be sure to just continue just rotating your bowl. This particularly helps you in really getting all your ingredients incorporated really well. And another technique to also remember, always when you're mixing your cake mixture or any pastry mixture for that matter, always start with your spoon at the front and rotate it sideways, and basically just rotate your bowl, and this basically allows all your ingredients to fold in together. So just be sure to rotate and lift, always reconstituting all your ingredients to the center of the bowl. And this is now just starting to really get some shape. And now to that, just to finish that off, I'm going to add some of those porridge oats. Mix that through once more. And always be sure to scoop all the ingredients that are sitting on the side of your bowl, and that includes also the flour. So always try and keep as much as you can in the bowl and not on the sides of the bowl. Right, so simple as that. And to that I'm going to add some of my raspberries, and I'm also going to reserve some of those for garnishing the muffins once they're into the cups. And I'm just going to proceed to just mix that through. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your muffin mixture is now ready. So some very, very simple pointers, especially when making muffins. Always be sure to grab a bit of the utensils you need in advance. Remember, pastry is one of the many techniques that doesn't really give you much time to actually pause in between. So always have your station really organized well. And now for that, I have a beautiful baking tray here, as you can see. I've also got some beautiful, nice and shiny muffin cups that I'm going to be using for this particular recipe. And I'll just start off by spreading those out in a bowl, like in a tray like that. And you can actually be able to get this in most retail outlets. If you cannot find the same, you can alternatively use a muffin tin and use your regular muffin cups, and you will actually get exactly the same thing. All right, so just to get the party started, I'm just going to grab my piping bag. And one particular trick I wanted to share with you while I'm actually holding this glass in my hand. It's always a little easier to have someone hold your piping bag for you while you actually pour your mixture into it. But in the cases that you're alone at home or you don't have any extra hands that may be available to help you to hold your bag, I particularly like to just put my piping bag in a bowl or a jar. And basically this will actually help you to keep the shape very much intact. And now all you're left to do is just pour your mixture right in the middle and just allow your mixture to continue to sink all the way to the bottom of your piping bag. And always be sure also not to fill up too much. Get to about 3/4 way and always stop at that point. That is particularly important because it will also aid you and help you in refilling your bag. So very simply, once your bag is about 3/4 way filled up, I like to just lift my bag and just using my fingers, just lock the edge of your piping bag and just start to rotate. And this basically just locks in all that mixture in there and allows for you to be able to pipe it. So very simply, into your containers, start right in the middle. You may actually have to push some of that chocolate through if it's big chunks, so always just use both hands to hold your piping bag in shape, and then just proceed to fill your cups to about 3/4 way to the top. Just continue with the same technique all the way to the very end. Just going to keep doing that to the very end of our piping. And you may actually have some pieces of chocolate that don't go through really easily. What I like to do is just cut that little bit off and basically just allow for more space at the end of your piping bag, and you should actually be able to get your mixture rolling out of there really, really easily. And just to refill the bag, same technique, just grab your piping bag just over the glass, turn it inside out from the top, and then just continue to pour your mixture right through into the middle of the bag. And always aim for the center of the bag. This will allow for the mixture to sink into the bottom a little faster and also allows for any air pockets. Right, simple as that. Be sure to also incorporate all that other cake mixture on the sides of your bowl, and be sure to always avoid to waste. And that is done now. So we're just going to finish off just the same way we started. Just grab your bag and continue to just squeeze that right through. And as I said, what you're looking for is to get about 3/4 way in each particular cup. Remember, the mixture does not have any raising agent, so you should actually just give that much allowance. So if you're actually going to use the same recipe and you're going to be incorporating some baking powder, you may actually want to fill it up a little less because it will double in size. So very, very simple. Just going to discard that small piece. So very simply, I like to particularly just hold my tray up and just knock it down a little bit. And this particularly does one particular thing. It just helps you to just sink the mixture to the bottom really quickly and remove any air pockets or bubbles in there. And now all you're left to do is just finish by garnishing each of your muffin cups with a bit of that beautiful raspberry at the top. And last but not least, a bit of that beautiful chocolate vermicelli. And last but not least, a bit of that beautiful porridge oats that we had mixed with some sugar. And basically that goes right over the top. And what will happen is basically as this continues to cook, the raspberry and the oats and the sugar will just continue to sink in slowly, giving you a very beautiful presentable product right at the end of your cooking process. Right, so we basically now just done filling up our muffin cups. And now our mixture is now ready to go into the oven. So this is basically going to be baking at between 180 to 200 degrees. And we're going to leave it in there for between 18 to 25 minutes, but we will actually check them at the 15 mark point just to be sure that they're not overcooking and they're just setting up really well. And we're also going to take a short break now, and when we do come back, you're going to be able to see what this turn out like. But before we jump into that break, we're just going to slide those into a preheated oven. Just slide your tray right in the middle all the way to the back, just cover it and set your timer, set your temperature and everything. And all you need to now is just give it a bit of time to cook, and then we're basically going to come back and I'll be able to show you what the product looks like once it's done. So please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back from the short break, and now we're just about ready to take out these beautiful muffins that I've been baking now for about 18 minutes. So I'm just going to start by taking these out. And as you can be able to see, they are now just nicely puffed up. And the colors are just looking really good. So we're just going to go straight ahead and plate them. As I'd mentioned earlier, this was the last stage that was remaining. And for those of you who may have missed out on what we were doing earlier, we were basically making some very simple muffins. Into that we incorporated some raspberries, some bananas, some porridge oats, some chocolate. And now basically the whole dish is done and we're just going to finish it off. So I'm just going to start off by just moving this onto the plate so that you can just get a view of what they look like. And now just to show you just an additional trick that you could use just to finish off some muffins such as these, I personally like to just use a bit of icing sugar. And all you need to do is just let your icing just run right through your sieve. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is now done. So I hope you've managed to actually see something new today, and you've managed to learn something that you can be able to improvise in your own home kitchen. And I hope you're definitely going to try the recipe that you managed to see today. So from my end, it is a very warm thank you from myself. You have been watching Dinner Guide on BrandPlus TV. I do also recommend that you check out our Facebook page. Check out also our YouTube links. Leave any questions, inquiries, or any comments regarding this particular show. And we are definitely going to be looking forward to getting some feedback from you. So from the studios and myself, thank you for tuning in. And until the next episode, have a lovely evening and goodbye.